get in yesterday. We missed calls. I called them yesterday. We missed calls, and they're trying from the plane. Well, you know, we're making it real clear that it's totally illegal what's happening, and we declared it so. Changes the dynamic.
Okay, so interesting comments there made at Joint Base Andrews before the president departed for a 5-day trip to Ireland. President Biden giving an update on Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich, the president officially declaring him wrongfully detained in Russia. This before the president traveled to Ireland yesterday to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the landmark Good Friday Agreement. Joining us now for more on all of this is senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation, former Deputy National Security Advisor Victoria Coates, and retired Air Force Brigadier General and Newsmax contributor Blaine Holt. Let me tell you, it is great to be back on with both of you. I missed you. It's good to see you again. Hope you're doing well.
We missed you.
Good to see you, Rob.
It's great to be on with you. Victoria, we'll start with you. I want to talk about, before we get to the Wall Street Journal reporter, the document leaks here. So some of these documents, they were apparently connected to alleged weaknesses in the Ukrainian air defense system. There were also reports that Egypt was planning to ship rockets to Russia. Egypt is now denying that report. Do we ever find out who is responsible for the leak?
Well, we can certainly try, Rob. I mean, we need to figure out how these things were transmitted. Were they printed out? That's the report I've heard. If so, there should be a record of where those were printed, a digital record. Who had access to all this different material? That can also be a clue. But this has to be a top priority for the Pentagon and the intelligence community. It's baffling to me that they're handing it off to the Department of Justice. This isn't a law enforcement issue. This is a national security issue.
General, so this reporter, Evan Gershkovich, still being detained in Russia. President Biden, I want to get the language right, officially declaring him wrongfully detained. And he seemed to hammer that point home. What does that mean?
Well, it means that they're going to count him in with Paul Whelan and another political prisoner that the Russians have taken from us. The Russians, of course, are making the argument that this is an intelligence operative. Wall Street Journal is disavowing that. But step back. What we should see at the highest level is that Vladimir Putin has no problems rolling up Americans inside Russia when it suits him. That's one. The other part is the Kremlin's not dummies. They understand that the American public doesn't want to see citizens taken up, and Russia does want to influence opinion here. What's flagging to me is that they could care less what the American people think. They just went ahead and did it anyway, regardless of the politics. And it makes me think about all of the things yet to come in this war.
Victoria, what do you make of that in the language the president uses? Do you think, to the general's point, this does nothing to sway Vladimir Putin one way or the other?
No, I don't think Putin is terribly concerned with lawlessness. He is, of course, rampaging around Ukraine. But I think in this case, he's learned that President Biden is very willing to strike a deal that's highly advantageous to Russia if he grabs a high-profile hostage. And so, I mean, certainly it is correct for the State Department to label Evan as wrongfully detained. He appears to have done absolutely nothing wrong. He was an accredited journalist with a major outlet doing, very good work out of Russia. Putin didn't like what he had to say. He had learned from the Brittany Griner case that he could get a very high-profile Russian out in exchange for an American with some celebrity. So he's trying to do it again. Why not?
Some celebrity. They had no trouble getting Brittany Griner out. To the general's point, Paul Whelan has been there a lot longer than Brittany Griner. Back to these leaked documents, General, I just want to get your take. What we think this culprit, who this could be, maybe a disgruntled contractor, similar to Edward Snowden, or maybe a mole. Some of the stuff that was leaked apparently was really eyes only. Not everyone had clearance to see that. What do you make of it?
Well, that's why, what Victoria said is exactly right. It should be traceable. This should be, we should have the ability to go get right after this, and we don't need the Justice Department's help. In fact, that to me evokes, is the administration involved with this right now? The DOJ is not riding on this crest of credibility. What is their intent when they go into this? I think that if it happened organically inside the DOD, you're probably looking at somebody that's got some sort of grinding concern that this counteroffensive that is coming up is not properly planned for and could be failing. But then there's the political part of this, where if it was politically motivated by the administration, they're getting ahead of a narrative. pushing a narrative out there that if this counteroffensive blows up, because they do have an air defense problem right now, you can easily see from that leaked intelligence why this thing went bad. It wasn't us. But are we starting to see the stories being covered, especially with Rishi Sunak meeting with President Biden right now?
So we have seen leaks. Joe Biden's government is just, it's a leak festival. Remember it was almost a year ago now, the draft opinion of the Roe v. Wade at the Supreme Court. We still have no idea. The American public still has no idea who leaked that. And I don't think we'll ever get an answer to that question. Victoria, China is praising Emmanuel Macron, the French president. He visited with the Chinese president, and he's been praised widely by the CCP. France, one of the most prominent NATO countries we have. Your reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, as well, they should praise him. I mean, Macron went all the way to China, basically as a supplicant to Chairman Xi, rather, and all he got was an extension of the loan of 2 panda bears to the French zoo. And, you know, it was absolutely disgraceful to hear him say that France would not stand with the United States in the event of an incursion against Taiwan, while he's perfectly happy for the United States to be the lead donor on Ukraine. And I think, you know, we really should do a review of what France's contributions to the war in Ukraine have been, how those compare to America's. And, you know, if they are not going to pony up in what is a European war, you know, this gives me grave concern that they assume the United States will just go it alone in Taiwan.
All right. Victoria Coates, General Blaine, Holt, great to have you both back on. Good to see you again. We'll do it again soon. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.